Hello everyone, welcome back to the second session of The Portrait of a Lady, written by Khushwant Singh. In the previous segment, we had learned about the village life of Khushwant Singh and his grandmother. In today's session, we are going to understand about the city life of Khushwant Singh and his grandmother. Before going ahead with the part 2, we will be understanding the new words in the lesson. The first one being the courtyard. The courtyard is an unroofed area that is completely or partially enclosed by walls or buildings. This type of construction was commonly used during the period in time from 20 to 30 years ago. The courtyard becomes a lively and energetic place during festivals and marriages. So, in olden days, there were houses which were constructed really huge with a place for celebrating, for functions, for various other activities. Snapped, break suddenly and completely. A plastic shopping bag can carry a lot of heavy shopping, but if you try to lift it up quickly, it will get snapped. That means to break off. Like you all know, children, we should not be using plastic bags as well. So, we should be using the cloth bags which can be reused as well. The next word is seclusion. Seclusion means a state of being private and away from other people. The boy will be placed in seclusion until he can be examined for COVID. So, you all know that these days we all have a fear factor of COVID-19. So, this is something which we haven't identified as to what and how it comes, and then we haven't even found the medicine yet. The next word is perched, alight or resting on something. A bird perched on the side of the armchair. So, the bird is sitting and this resting or sitting is called as perched. Frivolous. Frivolous means not having any serious purpose or value. So, whatever we do, whenever we speak, whatever our actions are, they should all be responsible and they should be accountable. We should think before doing an action or speaking anything. One should not shop frivolously. That means we should not waste our money and not buy things unnecessarily. The next word is dilapidated, in a state of despair or ruin as a result of age or neglect. So, dilapidated is something which is getting ruined or getting spoiled or getting old as per the age or when it is not taken care. It was very tough to play with a dilapidated ball. Pallor, an unhealthy pale appearance. After working on the project for 4 months, Susie was anxious to take a cruise and get off her office pallor. So, pallor is unhealthy pale appearance, where it might be because of working continuously, where it might be a lack of nutritious food as well. So, this all leads to a pallor, pale face. The next word is corpse, a dead body, especially of a human being. Arlen's corpse was unrecognizable, needed DNA test to confirm his identity. So, here it is saying that the corpse, the body that was found was unrecognizable. At certain times it happens that the body starts decaying and we cannot recognize the body. So, at that point in time we do a DNA test to identify whose body it is. The next word, here we come to the lesson where we are going to see the change in the life of two people, that is Khushwant Singh and his grandmother. A turning point in their beautiful relationship arrived when they went to live in a city. Now, the writer used to go to the city on a school bus where his grandmother could not accompany. So, here it is a contrast when these both were there in the village. they both were going to the school together, and grandmom would go to the temple, which was just the next building of the school. So by the time Kushwant Singh would finish his studies at the school, she would be busy in prayers and learning the verses. So now here they both are not enjoying the bond or togetherness that they were enjoying in the village by going to school and temple together. Here Kushwant Singh is going all by himself in the motor bus. Studied subjects like physics, English, mathematics and many more subjects those grandmother could not understand at all. So here every time when Kushwant Singh is back from school, grandmom would ask, how was your school? What did you learn today? So now when Kushwant Singh is answering to grandmother's questions, she would not understand that, what is physics, what is mathematics, because she was a person who was uneducated. As his grandmother could no longer go to school with him to send him, she felt upset, and there was no teaching about God and scriptures at the school city. Instead, he was given music lessons, but she said nothing. So here Kushwant Singh's grandmom is a little disturbed because she could not accompany Kushwant Singh along, and on top of that she is not understanding the change in the academics of Kushwant Singh, where over there he was learning academics, but also he was learning the scriptures and the religious content as well. But here it is completely different. Leave apart the scriptures that he has not been learning. On top of it all, he is learning music now, though Kushwant Singh's grandmother did not like it. She did not say a word. When the writer went to a university, he got a separate room in his house. The common link of the relationship between the grandson and the grandmother was broken now. So from the childhood, Kushwant Singh's grandmother has been taking care of Kushwant Singh, bathing him, getting him ready, making breakfast for him, going along with him to the school, and all this, and she enjoyed doing this as a grandmother. But suddenly when they moved into the city, there was a cut-off between the relationship of Kushwant Singh and his grandmother. Initially, they both were spending some time together, but when Kushwant Singh joined the university, it was even more tougher for Kushwant Singh to spend more time with his grandmother, and the relationship was very minimal of understanding. Grandmother rarely talked to anyone in house now. She spent plenty of her time sitting beside her spinning wheel, and reciting prayers of God. She started feeding the sparrows in the afternoon. So now, since she had nothing much to do, so she was spending her time on spinning wheel, where in olden days also they would use the spinning wheel to make the cloth. Even you see Gandhi ji also, he is there with the spinning wheel. So like that she would spend time on the spinning wheel and reciting prayers. So most of the time, a lot of people, they spend their majority time in praying. And then for her pastime, she would now go feed the sparrows in the courtyard. When the writer was leaving abroad for his further studies, his grandmother did not get disturbed at all. Rather, she saw him off. So now the routine of Kushwant Singh was set. He is going to his college, he is coming back and spending time in his studies and friends. And even the grandmother has accepted the routine, and she is going ahead with that, reciting, praying, spending time with her spinning wheel, and then feeding the sparrows. So even she is set with the routine. So one fine day, Kushwant Singh comes up and says that he is going abroad for his further studies. So he expected that his grandmother would be very emotional. She would burst out to cry and start sobbing. But nothing of that sort happened. In fact, she was very calm and composed. And she said, all right, that is good. And she also went to see him off at the airport. Seeing her grandmother at this old age, the writer was thinking that it might be the last meeting with his grandmother. But when he came back after duration of 5 years, his grandmother was there to welcome him back, and he saw her celebrate his return. So now when he is going abroad for his further studies, he expects a different reaction from grandmother, but yet yes, he is disappointed. Though he is disappointed, he also thought in his subconscious mind, he was thinking that okay, grandmother is caught up with age, and for 5 years period in time I am going, I don't know whether she would be alive by the time I would come back. But to his surprise, she survived, and she was also there to welcome him back home after his further studies. The next day, the next morning, when Khushwant Singh has arrived in India, and he started saying the next day what happened. The next morning, after the return of his grandson, she got ill. So immediately the next morning, after Khushwant Singh had arrived to India, she got ill. Although the doctor told that it was a slight fever and would go away very soon, still she could foresee that it was her time to leave this world. She did not want to waste her time talking. So the doctor was called and she was examined. And when she was examined, the doctor said that there is nothing to worry, that it's just a normal fever. She will be fine soon. But her inner feeling, there is always an inner feeling with all of us. And Khushwant Singh's grandmother also had an inner feeling where she thought that my time has come to an end. Very soon I shall be leaving the abode of earth. And she, at that point in time, she did not want to talk to anyone. She wanted to be secluded and just wanted to be with herself. She went to her bed praying and telling the beads till her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell down from her lifeless hands. So whatever she had thought that my life is coming to an end, that's the way it happened. It was a very sad moment for all of them in the family that she died. And during her last few minutes of her life, she just prayed with her rosary beads and her lips stopped praying, which indicated that she was no more in this world. To grieve her death, thousands of sparrows flew in and sat, dispersed around her body. All the sparrows flew away without making any noise when the dead body of the old lady was carried away for the last rites. So now we all know that she had a routine of feeding the sparrows. So now when she is dead, her body was kept in the courtyard. Like every day, the sparrows came even today, and they saw that the lady who was feeding is no more alive. And even the birds, when you see, they are always chirping, making noise, making the surrounding very happy. But now even the birds realize that the person who has been feeding us is no more. So they sit quietly, and after a few minutes they fly away. To sum up the portrait of a lady summary, the writer and his grandmother had a beautiful bond between them and loved each other a lot. The story tells us how beautiful a relationship can become between a grandson and his grandmother. So this is a very beautiful story narrated by Khushwant Singh, the bond that they both shared from the childhood to the last time of grandmother as well. So here everyone in our life as well have beautiful memories with our grandparents. They can be maternal grandparents or paternal grandparents. Irrelevant of that, we are attached to one of our grandparents where we feel so much loved and where we have so much warmth in terms of caring, loving, feeding us. So I'm sure we all have experienced this as well. With this, we finish our lesson. Going ahead with the grammar section. Today in grammar, we are going to be learning about conjunctions. Conjunctions is a word which we have already known, or which we use it every day. But how or what is the purpose of these conjunctions? First, we need to know what conjunctions are. Before even applying it, we should know how to use it or what it is. For example, when you buy anything new and you don't know how to use it, first you'll have to read the manual. So in the same way, even in grammar, first you have to understand the usage, how to use it, and then when you apply it, your vocabulary or your command over the language becomes good. Like you see, there is a bridge here, children. Now this bridge, it is connecting two places. What two places is it connecting? This is connecting one land to another land area, and in between we have water running. So this bridge helps us to go from one place to another place. So in the same way, a word used to connect phrases, clauses and sentences is known as conjunctions. So conjunctions connect from a phrase to phrase, from a clause to clause, and they can help in making a sentence. Now we have to understand what phrases are and what sentences are. So I told you there are phrases, there are clauses, there are sentences. First we need to understand what phrases are. Phrases are a group of words that act as a part of speech but cannot stand alone. Example, buttery popcorn. Buttery popcorn, we understand what it is. It is a popcorn with butter, buttery popcorn. But it is not communicating as to what do we do with it. So it is a group of words which partially makes us or gives us information but not complete understanding. The next one is clauses. Clauses are a group of words that have a subject and a predicate. That means predicate is a subject, like the subject plus verb, and can stand alone. Example that I have given you, I like to eat buttery popcorn. Now you understand buttery popcorn? These two words form a phrase. So we do not have complete understanding. So when we need to understand completely, we have to have it with a subject and a predicate. So this here I have constructed a sentence, I like to eat buttery popcorn. Eat is a verb and popcorn, buttery popcorn is the phrase that we added on to this, giving it a complete sense. We have different types of conjunctions. The first one, we have three types of conjunctions mainly. The first one is coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunction, what is the work of coordinating conjunction? It is used to join two words or phrases that are equally important. So here I am saying that this conjunction, that is coordinating conjunction, joins two phrases with equal importance. We shall be learning ahead, and these conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, soon. How are we going to remember this? Remembering is a challenge, where now when we are learning, we tend to understand, but remembering is a challenge. So how do we remember? These coordinating conjunctions you can remember with a word called fanboys. Fan you can remember, which gives you cool air, and boys you can remember as a gender. So fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet. So let's quickly construct a few sentences. This mushroom stew is savory and delicious. So here in the first sentence, we are joining two words with equal importance. That means we are telling how the mushroom soup is. It is savory and delicious as well. So both are equally important words. Bill refuses to eat peas, nor he will touch carrots. Here we are joining two phrases, a group of words. That is, Bill refuses to eat peas, nor he will touch carrots. So here we are combining two different phrases with one conjunction. The next conjunction that we will be learning about is subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction here is a word or a phrase that links a dependent clause and an independent clause. In the previous one, what we had learnt, that there are two main words or phrases that has equal importance or weightage. But here in subordinating conjunction, we link the main or the independent clause with the dependent clause. There are about 50 subordinating conjunctions. Now first, let's understand what an independent clause is and what a dependent clause is. Independent clause is a clause that can form a complete sentence and can stand alone, having a subject and a predicate. So here independent clause is understood that even if I give you a sentence, it conveys the complete meaning. Now what is dependent clause? A dependent clause is a clause that cannot stand alone as a complete sentence because it does not express a complete thought. I have constructed a sentence here for your reference of dependent and independent clause. The crew could not see the whale, which had surfaced only 50 meters behind them. Here the sentence is saying about a crew, that is people who are on ship. They did not see the whale, which was just 50 meters away and it had come on the surface of the water. When I tell you the crew could not see the whale, it is an independent clause which is conveying a meaning saying that the crew did not see the whale. If in case I tell you which had surfaced only 50 meters behind them, what are you going to understand from this? We are not going to understand anything. So this is a dependent clause. Now these two clauses have to be connected, and the connection of these two clauses will happen by subordinating conjunctions. So here you see subordinating conjunctions, few of those I have put it on the list, and let's quickly construct sentences. After the basement flooded, we spent all day cleaning up. So after here is a subordinating conjunction. I do not want to go to the movies because I dislike the smell of the popcorn. So I do not want to go to the movies, here if you take, is an independent clause, that I don't want to go to the movies. The reasons can be different. The reason here listed is I dislike the smell of the popcorn, or I would say that I do not want to go to the movies because the tickets are highly priced. So the reasons might be different. The third one, until spring arrives, we have to be prepared for more snow. So here it is saying until spring arrives. So what we have to do? We have to prepare for more snow, we have to prepare for warmer clothes. So like this you can construct sentences with subordinating conjunctions. As soon as the alarm goes off, I hit the snooze button. So as soon as is a subordinating conjunction. So as soon as the alarm goes off, I hit the snooze button. The next conjunction are called as correlative conjunction. Now correlative conjunctions always work in pairs. So we have to keep in mind that correlating conjunction means pairs. Correlative conjunctions correlate They work in pairs to join phrases or words that carry equal importance within a sentence. Let's see the examples. She is both intelligent and beautiful. So, here we have conjunctions which are giving equal weightage or importance, that is, she is both intelligent as well as beautiful. I will either go for a hike or stay home and watch TV. So, we have to understand that these two words have to go together. That is why they are called correlative pairs. Jerry is neither rich nor famous. So, here I have given you a list of correlative conjunctions which are both and, just, as much as. So, I am sure with these words it will help you construct few more sentences. Now, let us quickly move to the segment of home assignment. I would wish you to write a short note on the school life of the city. That means Khushwant Singh experienced both the village school life and the city school life. I would want you to write a short note on the city school life. Did Khushwant Singh's grandmother like the city life? Justify. So, you have to explain as to if Khushwant Singh's grandmother liked the city life or she did not like the city life. You have to write it in detail. The next one is construct a story about you and your grandparents. Like I told you at the end of the story that each one of us are attached to either maternal or paternal grandparents. Now, you have to write a story about yourself just the way that Khushwant Singh has written about him and his grandmother. So, you can also write a story about you and your grandparent, any of them, and then also try to find out how many conjunctions have you used in your story. Thank you, children. You all have a wonderful time ahead.